Welcome back, viewers.
No life forms here.
Today thought I would do a little compilation video of various recently acquired vintage toy items. Kind of a smorgasbord variety of different items, including this Hawthorne figure. Remember having this as a kid, enjoying taking him out on snow days when it snowed and building Hoth trenches and putting him on the Wampa to go and rescue Luke and battling a Wampa. This particular example is not, the car's not in the greatest shape, but the figure is really nice. Nanu. Here is a Robin Williams Mork and Mindy action figure. Doll. I guess you would call this more of a doll. And it's got the talking feature where you pull a string and hear various quotes from Mork and Mindy. Hear Nanu and 7 other crazy things when you pull the ring. I didn't have this one as a kid. I remember seeing it in stores and just being curious about it. Here's the talking feature. We'll test this out. Trying not to break it. Try it again here. You can barely make out what he's saying because it's pretty garbled. And on top of that, he's saying nonsense words like nanu. But it's a pretty interesting artifact, I think. In the 80s, they would make action figures out of everything. There was nothing that was off limits. Any quirky little TV show or even boring TV shows, they would try their luck at making action figures. And here's another artifact. Mr. T action figure, 12 inches tall and ready for action, fully jointed and puzzle, dressed with removable clothes, real chains, and medallion. I do remember having this as a kid, and my parents may be questioning my sanity a little bit about my obsession with Mr. T. But this was a nice quality action figure, 12 inches, fully posable. Well, not fully posable. The clothing and the sculpting was pretty quality on this figure. The plastic is just like a hard, hollow plastic. Maybe it's a little bit cheap. But Mr. T was quite an interesting phenomenon in the 80s. There was no denying his popularity and appeal to kids. On A-Team, portraying B.A. Baracus, Bad Attitude Baracus. Mr. T. Nice figure, in my opinion. I recently bought this on eBay. Here's one that maybe is not quite as vintage. It's from the mid-90s, maybe like 94, 95. But I really appreciated this figure. I didn't have it then, but I remember admiring it at my local mall, KB Toy Store. Thinking, wow, that's a cool figure. That reminds me of the Amigo figures that I had as a kid. Made by Playmates, of course. This is the only one of the line I have. I have Picard. I might get Riker maybe, but really quality action figure, large size action figure. I guess he's about 8 inches tall, 8 or 9 inches. Rambo, the Force of Freedom. Now, this was a figure that I really enjoyed as a kid, but I didn't have much. This was the only Rambo figure I had was John Rambo himself. Although I wish I had Troutman, but you would just set him up against various other random action figures during playtime. But pretty cool figure in my opinion. Like I say, I had this as a kid and have fond memories of it. How they ever made a action figure for kids out of an R-rated movie like Rambo, there he is, complete with details like torture scars. But how they ever decided to make an action figure and market it to kids is kind of beyond me, really. Comes with the Russian M60 machine gun, bazooka, ammo belt, of course his survival knife, etc. Get me Rambo. Here's a Mego Chips action figure with John. California Highway Patrol. Recommended for ages 3 and up. But I remember watching this show. It used to come on about in the afternoons on my local TV channel. I remember being fascinated by the uniforms. I had Ponch as a kid, but not John. Really nice quality soft goods, clothing, and accessories. So of these items that I've shown today, this kind of smorgasbord of vintage toy goodness, which one do you have memories of? Which one do you think is the better quality action figure? Obviously, the Kenner Star Wars line is probably the most iconic at this point, but there's some other contenders as far as quality goes with their cloth goods, clothes, and their cultural importance. Please leave a comment. Your comments are something that I always read with interest and try to respond to. Thank you for watching.